If you're building a web app today, you are facing a massive decision right out of the gate. Do you piece together your own stack from scratch, or do you grab a modern all-in-one framework? Believe me, this choice is going to ripple through everything that comes after, from how fast you ship to how well your app actually performs for real users.
So let me ask you a question. What's the single most important line of code you'll ever write? It's not some crazy, complex algorithm. Nope. It's the command that locks in your project's architecture. That one decision can be the difference between success and failure, so let's really dig into the two main paths you can take.
You know, when it comes to building for the web today, it really boils down to two competing philosophies. On one side, you have the classic, do-it-yourself, roll your own stack, and on the other, you've got a modern, integrated framework that has some pretty strong opinions about the right way to build.
So on one side, you've got the classic stack. You pick React for your front end, Node.js for your back end, and you stitch all the different libraries together yourself. And on the other side, you have an all-in-one framework like Next.js, which basically hands you a complete, ready-to-go solution right out of the box.
All right, let's talk about that classic stack first. The big promise here is flexibility, right? You get total control to build things exactly the way you want. But that freedom, it can come with some pretty significant costs, especially when you're starting a new project.
The absolute core issue here is something called client-side rendering, or CSR. And the best way to think about it is like this. Imagine the server ships your user an empty box with a super complicated set of assembly instructions inside. It's now up to the user's browser to do all the heavy lifting, unboxing it, reading the manual, and building the final product from scratch.
So what does this assembly process actually look like? Well, first the browser gets a nearly empty web page. Then it has to download this huge chunk of JavaScript. After it runs all of that code, it finally goes back to the server and asks for the data it needs to actually show you something. It's just a long, slow, multi-step process. And this whole song and dance, it leads to two massive problems. For your actual users, it means a whole lot of waiting, just staring at a loading spinner. But for search engines like Google, it's even worse. They just see an empty page, which means your beautiful new website is basically invisible.
And let's be clear, this isn't just some minor inconvenience. No, for any app that relies on content, think blogs, e-commerce, news sites, being invisible to search engines is a total non-starter. You're starting out at a massive built-in disadvantage from day one.
Okay, so that's the pain of the classic stack. Now let's flip the script and see how a modern framework like Next.js just solves this. And the solution here is a beautiful thing called server-side rendering, or SRS. Instead of shipping that empty box with instructions, the server does all the assembly work itself. It builds the complete, finished page and ships it directly to the user, ready to be viewed instantly. This process is just dramatically faster. The browser gets a fully formed HTML page, which means the user sees the content almost immediately. Then this cool process called hydration happens in the background, which just loads the JavaScript needed to make the page clicky and interactive. So here's the absolute key takeaway. By delivering that pre-rendered HTML, Next.js solves both of the classic stack's biggest problems in a single elegant stroke. Your user gets a way faster experience, and search engines get perfectly indexable content. It's a win-win. But solving that rendering problem, that's really just the beginning. Next.js also comes packed with a whole suite of built-in features, superpowers really, that save you a ton of time and effort. And hey, don't just take my word for it. This isn't just theory. The company Causal saw a 70% reduction in their page load times after they switched from a classic React setup to Next.js. That is a massive game-changing improvement. So how does it do it? Well, it comes with all these tools that are optimized for speed right out of the gate. You've got a zero config setup to get you going instantly, a super simple file-based routing system. It automatically splits your code to keep pages light. It even has built-in image and font optimization. All this stuff just works, making your app faster and way easier to build.
You know, the shift in the industry has been so clear and the benefits are so obvious that even React's own official documentation now recommends that if you're starting a new project, you should use a framework like Next.js. I mean, that's coming from the creators of React themselves.
So after weighing all the evidence, what's the verdict? If you need a fast, scalable, SEO-friendly app, which path should you choose?
When you lay it all out side by side, it's pretty clear.
Next.js has a huge advantage when it comes to SEO, the actual developer experience, and how fast you can get to market. Now, this doesn't mean the classic stack is bad. If you need ultimate flexibility for some super unique project, it's there. But for most content-driven apps, Next.js is just a much better choice.
So let's be super clear about this. For any serious, content-driven application, the definitive recommendation is to build with the Next.js framework. It's just perfectly aligned with the biggest challenges of the modern web.
And the great thing is, getting started isn't some huge, complicated thing. You just use the core framework as your foundation. For your data, you can build API endpoints right inside the app to start, and then connect to bigger services as you grow. You can integrate security tools like Auth.js, and when you're ready to go live, you just use a platform like Vercel, which is literally built for Next.js apps.
Which, brings us right back to that first, most important decision you'll make. So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about for your own projects. Is your architecture built to solve the problems of yesterday, or is it designed to seize the opportunities of tomorrow?